Call to order the meeting, January 16th, 2020, of the City of Sebastian Planning and Zoning Commission. We'll start with our Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Yes. Mr. Roth.
Here.
Mr. Simmons.
Present.
Ms. Cottenberg.
Here.
Mr. Carter.
Present.
Mr. Reyes is excused. Mr. Cristino.
Kizelbosh. Here.
No, Mr. Kizelbosh, I know you're here. Mr. Eugen.
Here.
And Mr. Alvarez.
Chairman, I would ask that if, since two of our members are not here, that Mr. Simmons also be noted as an alternate to be able to vote then.
Thank you.
Tonight.
In our announcements tonight, Mr. Reyes has an excused absence. Mr. Cristino is not here, so Mr. Simmons will be voting in the absence of a regular voting member. Thank you. Okay, you have all had the opportunity to review the minutes from our past meeting. Any additions or corrections?
None. I would move that the minutes of the December 19th, 2019 meeting be approved as submitted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is passed. Thank you. And tonight, we have a public hearing. Can we have our city attorney read the issue for us?
The requested action, special exemption to section 54-2-5.4, subsection C of the Sebastian Land Development Code to allow the industrial activities, open paren contractor trades, close paren, within the commercial riverfront CR zoning district.
Thank you. Has anybody on the council, on the committee here had any ex parte communication with the applicant?
No.
No? All right, thank you. Applicant presentation, please.
And Ms. Cottenberg, I think we'd like to recognize that Mr. Cristino has
Oh, I do recognize him. Thank you.
I apologize for being late.
That's okay.
and that Mr. Cristino is in the rotation to vote as alternate instead
All
of
right,
Mr. Simmons.
Thank you.
No, I apologize. Mr. Simmons will be voting for Mr. Alvarez. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Madam Chair, just point of record, just for the record that no one had any kind of ex parte communication, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay. Presentation by the applicant, please.
How you guys doing tonight? My name is Mike Rizzo. I'm the president of Family Heating and Air. Now, when you say presentation, just want to know how this came about or about our company?
It's customary for you to tell us what it is you're attempting to accomplish and why it is you're asking for.
Okay. We're a service air conditioning company. We wanted to get more into the forefront of the community to increase business for us and our reach to the city.
Okay, anything else?
Well, that's it. I mean, I'm having a hard time understanding the industrial part of what we're being classified as, so I don't know if I can get a little breakdown on that.
When we have the staff presentation, we'll go through that in
Okay.
detail. The reason that you're, maybe I shouldn't even talk about that, but you're being asked, we require the special exception.
Yes.
Because what's being done on the site does not match what the code calls for.
Okay, and we were unaware of that.
Okay.
I understand that, me not knowing is not a reason to go ahead and give it to me, but we did not know that rule.
Okay. Does anybody on the commission here have a question, any questions of our applicant?
Yes, I have a couple questions,
Thank you.
if I might.
Okay.
How do you plan on controlling the traffic going in to the south entrance with the donut shop? Because you're butting up right against them.
I'm not opposed to telling my guys not even to use that entrance. Now again, our traffic is only about 7:30 to just before 8 o'clock, and then we really have not much traffic after that. So,
Okay. And you make mention about that you're going to try to push the trucks to the south side of the building and then around the building, but there doesn't look like there's enough room over there to me.
Yeah, no, me and Dory spoke about that
Okay.
last week, I believe. Yeah, I presented a loading and unloading system for her, and then it came back that they didn't think there was enough room there. So I could propose other things. I could have certain guys start later, service techs start a little bit later to decrease the flow of people in that area between 7 and 8 o'clock.
Okay, that's all I have. Go watch that.
Any other questions here?
My only question is, what is in the back of the building? Is it on a septic system?
Yeah.
Septic is on the side.
Which
On
south
the side in between the building and the dumpster, it would be the north side of the building.
Yeah, my question
So
is, there is...
we did present with you, the Exhibit C and D was a current survey that did show where the concrete is in the building. It didn't show the easements or the septic tank, and then there was a survey, an older survey in the file that did show the easements from the subdivision, but neither one of those surveys showed where the septic tank or drain field was. So that would certainly be something that we'll kind of go over.
The reason I'm asking, there is some room on the north side, in the back of the north, for additional parking. So if they could park their truck over there, that will help them, That's my concern is with the septic system.
Now in the evening, to answer that, I understand what you're saying, and we could do that. There is a concrete slab beside the building that we could drive over and get to the back side of the building.
Yeah.
But realistically, I could limit it to where there's only one truck on site on non-working hours.
That'd be nice,
90%
yeah.
of my trucks now go home, but I could let 99 of them go home, 99% of them go home.
Yeah, that will help, yeah.
Any other questions? Mr. Christina?
I've got a question. Been at your location 3 times over the last week
Okay,
over there, especially at that 8 o'clock hour.
Okay.
This morning you had 10 trucks in the parking lot. I counted them.
Okay.
I was there.
now, LA Family Heating and Air trucks?
After 8 o'clock, there are your trucks. After 8 o'clock, it seems that your trucks hit the road.
Yes.
They go out to the jobs. The back of the building, I saw 1 truck parked. There's not much room for more than that. You butt up against a condominium project behind you. There's not a lot of visibility from that condo project to the back of your property.
Yes.
You've expressed on your plan to have a dumpster on the north side of the building. Is
It was
that
there when
correct?
we came in, yes.
Because I did notice that you did have a compressor, an extra compressor stacked up on top of another in the back of the building. A concern is that it doesn't become
An
a
eyesore.
junkyard back there.
Yes.
Like it was before?
Well,
I have no idea what was there before.
Yeah.
You were applying for something before the
Yes.
town, so the remarks are not necessary.
I can answer that. We have kind of, I don't know, I won't say being disheartened by what's happened, but it's kind of slowed the process down on the way we're going about things. we want the business to look very presentable because we're trying to invite people into the company. You know, we want the walk-in traffic. We want all that. Now, the dumpster, that was there before we moved in. We're just using it. As far as the property line, like Dory had stated, that we did have the building surveyed. The property for our building actually goes to about 4 feet off of the condo, if I'm not mistaken. It's not much. So there's plenty of property there, and I have told Dory and Lisa, we will build a fence to separate it so that the people behind us don't have to look into our yard. We will do anything we have to do to make sure that it's the proper look for the community.
I don't see a problem from behind the building. What I see is a problem from Route 1.
Okay.
The recognition there. Your trucks were kind of pell-mell in there. You actually have them out in the grass median in the front. I don't know if that's an advertising ploy.
No.
With the windows and that sort of thing.
I can explain this
But it looks a
morning.
little haphazard compared to the other businesses that are located in that plat.
I understand, it gets a little clogged up there, and that's why I said we could limit what comes in and what comes out, at what times they come in and what time they leave. Today was a little crazy because we did have a couple of guys start work today, so their trucks were there. But these are guys that take my trucks home, so their trucks were there, they were getting in my truck, so we had to shuttle them home. It got a little crazy today. But on a typical day, no, it's normally the office staff and then my work trucks that come in.
All right, I guess the question, you have 17 trucks, I saw 10 today. Some of your trucks are box trucks, none of them were
I have
there
one
this
box
morning.
truck, yes.
Just one?
Yes.
Okay, because I didn't see that there this morning.
They come a little later, and because of, like I said, a little disheartened, I'm trying to work the best I can with the city. Dory had contacted us right after we moved in. So I still have, where I was before up by Sandy's Bar and Grill, I have talked to that landlord, and right now, until we can work the system out and get things done, he's allowing me to keep a few trucks up there. So I have been keeping some of my trucks there.
All right, the last question I'm gonna have for you is you did everything, you went to building, and you got permits for electrical and some other work,
Yes.
but you never came to planning and zoning to see if the location
And again,
met the city's obligation.
that's what I said in the beginning. Is it ignorance on my part? Probably. I just didn't realize that there was a rule like this. So I didn't know we were doing anything wrong. Now, is that your fault? No. It's my fault, and we're paying the price for that now, but.
I guess the question I would ask is that you're leasing the building from someone in Palm Bay.
We're leasing the building from.
Did they let you know that this was a riverfront commercial district, or?
We went through RE/MAX to lease the building. They didn't notify us that there was a riverfront thing, and we weren't gonna be, they knew exactly what we were. The landlord never said anything. Nobody told us until the day we were contacted by, what was the guy's name that came to the property?
The code enforcement.
The code enforcement guy. We had no idea we were doing anything wrong. Now, we did kind of jump the gun and do the windows, and, like I said, I'll pay any penalties for that and do what I have to do, but we didn't know at that point we were breaking any rules.
That's fine. Would you be willing to modify those windows to comply with the code?
I have told Dory that already, that she just has to let me know what we have to do. I have a couple people in my office, my daughter being one of them, and then I have another guy that works in my office named Bruce McGuinn. He's an older retired firefighter. They do have a lot of skin cancer problems, so I do want to keep the tint. I told Dory if we can work this out, I'll do whatever I have to do.
All right, I'm done. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Hi, I'd just like to make a couple of general comments. Certainly, we always like to see a young business that is growing and trying to do well. Certainly, as a former entrepreneur and businessman, I always try to find out what the rules and regulations were when I moved into a new place. So, hindsight's always 20/20, so to speak. But I think we want to try to encourage your business.
Okay.
I don't think we want to handicap it in any way, but we do need for it to conform to what our zoning requires. And,
Okay.
you know, what you're asking for is a special exception, which we're willing to entertain that.
Okay.
And it seems like you are agreeable to wanting to make this a win-win for both
Absolutely.
your business and for the city, and that's what we're here for.
Absolutely. I mean, to me, it makes the building, which has been an eyesore for a long time,
Yes.
it makes it look presentable, and at the same time, it generates business for me. So-
And just one last comment, and I'll leave it at that. I know in essence, there's a competitor across the street from you.
Yes.
Who park their trucks, et cetera, there and load, and things of that nature. They were there previously to the zoning coming into place. And I do have mixed feelings about that. I don't know that if we're willing to entertain a special exception for your business and for you, that won't be transferable, then I don't know that we necessarily need to restrict whether or not you have vehicles there. Because in essence, then the city is, how should I say, is kind of stacking the deck against you versus competition. And that's what America's all about, is competition.
Absolutely.
Anyway, those are general statements, and, you know, we appreciate you working with the city, and we
Always.
appreciate your business as well.
Okay, I'm glad to hear it. You know, and again, to let you know, and Dory can attest to it, I come here anytime she asks me to. I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I'm just trying to build a big, prosperous business, and at the same time, make the building look better. And we just stopped because we're not sure where it's going yet.
Right.
That's all.
And rightfully so, at this point. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes,
I
sir.
have a couple of comments.
Okay.
It might have been a benefit had the owner of the property kind of tagged along with you tonight to maybe answer a few of the questions as far as the revisions of the property where it was suggested you could drive your truck on the south side around out the north side.
Okay.
But regardless of how the vote goes tonight, what we're having is basically a recommendation, and the council may or may not, as you probably know,
Yes.
go by our recommendation. So I just
Okay.
all I had to say.
I've spoken to the owner, and again, like I said, nobody notified us of a problem. Now, they have been pretty open to what we're doing, and,
They live in Connecticut.
yeah, they don't live around here, so they're not willing to put any money into the building from what I'm hearing, and we are. Again, you know, the parking lot needs fixing, there's fencing that needs to be put up, there's things that have to be done, and we're willing to take that route because we want to invite people into our company.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
Thank you. Any questions, Mr. Rob?
It's unfortunate we are where we are, because I know that you've put a lot of work and effort into this project already. And as Mr. Carter said, it's difficult when you've gone this far down the road to stop a business that is apparently growing and really thriving. A couple of things I looked at was location, traffic, and that's going to be somewhat of an issue, and it'll grow as you continue to grow and prosper. Another issue is that you're in an overlay district, and on the east side of the road, east side of US 1, which backs up to residential area, townhomes,
Okay.
there are two other businesses, which I'm sure you're well aware of, on US 1. They're on the west side, which does create a little bit of a difference as far as, you know, the interference that it would have with the surrounding business or residential area. Visibility can be corrected with landscaping. Sound cannot. I am acutely aware of that because of a personal situation. I looked at this and don't quite understand how a sound or light condition can be corrected, because if you do have vehicles there, you're going to want some type of security and lighting, especially if it's in the back of the building. And that then creates a nuisance, if you will, to the residents in the townhome. And that's part of what we have to look at, the big picture, to understand and know where this is going. And there's a lot of speculation right now. The last meeting I spoke of, something that came and, phase 1 was here and phase 2 wasn't. And again, I see it here where there's a lot of speculation and we're asked to make a recommendation on it without a lot of detail. And I understand, I empathize with your situation. I've seen it happen before. I just, at this point, I'm just wondering if we would be better off to try to make some kind of recommendation to table it and ask for further information on what could be done to mitigate some of the problems here. And I'll yield to whatever the other commissioners, no one's mentioned it so far, and I just think that might be one way to look at it. But again, I don't know if you're saying that the folks involved with owning it are willing to put any money into it, so it may be a moot point anyway.
Well, I mean, and again, I haven't talked to them about whether they're willing to put money into it. It's just that we know some of the past tenants, and that's why they're past tenants. So again, maybe they didn't want to put money into it as a renter. We have, as a company, made an offer to the owner to purchase the property. But whether we purchase it or not, again, I've been in the community 30 years. This is one of my sons, another one of my sons is sitting back there. I've raised them in this community. I've seen what's happened here. I want my building and a business that I built to be a focal point of the community. Mm-hmm. Now the truck thing, and as far as the lighting in the back, like I said, we would only have one truck that would sit there. And that's only because it is a box truck. I could sit in it behind, on the side of the building, on the driveway, behind the building. All the other trucks would go home. Mm-hmm. We're a service company, so we are a 24-hour-a-day working company. We get a phone call at 1 o'clock at night, we dispatch somebody to go to that home. So it makes sense for them to have their truck in their driveway, not mine.
Yeah. And that's why we have this riverfront overlay district, because many times, in most situations, industrial properties aren't really compatible to be next door to residential areas, or an area that's looked upon as the city as, future growth along the lagoon with other retail businesses and development along there with housing, mixed housing with retail underneath it, that sort of a thing, some of the long-range plans that we've batted around. So when you abut an industrial area with a residential area, you're looking at problems. And I understand.
It
appreciate your comments.
Okay, no, not a problem.
Okay. I have just a few little questions and concerns as well. I absolutely champion a business that I know what kind of a risk you take when you run a business. I've been an independent business person all my life.
Okay.
I appreciate the effort that's going in. I appreciate the fact that you're local folks. We love doing business with local people. We like seeing their businesses grow. One of my concerns is, though, that your business, I am certain, requires you to obtain permits for the work that you do.
Absolutely.
I can't understand why you would launch into a venture like this without finding out what permits are needed for this place. What can we do here? What can't we do here? We have sign ordinances in Sebastian. We have parking ordinances in Sebastian, and and they're not meant to deter people from
Absolutely.
living a happy life and having successful businesses. They're meant to keep the city as well as we can for everybody's interest. I too have been past here, and let me tell you, in the morning, from my viewpoint, it's a mess. It's a jumble.
And I haven't denied that.
And the traffic is in and out, and it's like,
Like I said, it's just kind of been at a standstill because we're not sure what's going on. A plan hasn't come into place. It's just,
I
we're like at a
understand
dead
that.
stop right now. We're still working, but we're not moving forward in the project.
I have one more question.
Okay?
You mentioned that the trucks can go home with the workers.
Yes.
We also have parking ordinances for neighborhoods that
Well, but
these trucks would not be, and I know that the rules are broken all the time, but what I see here, these trucks with this advertising isn't allowed under our parking ordinances to be parked in the city of Sebastian, not just gated neighborhoods. And I know that for a fact.
I see it.
So we've got multiple problems here.
I see it on every street every day,
Oh,
so I mean, I know.
Yeah, that doesn't make it right, though.
No,
And
it doesn't make it right, but
my concern is that we work really hard to try to encourage business and also to fix up what wasn't done correctly in the past. I have a problem with making rules for some people and telling other people that, that is a rule, but we're going to make an exception to the rule. Because when we make a lot of exceptions, then we don't have any rules. So that's my concern. That's what perplexes me. And if I'm the last questioner here,
I can answer that, though, those questions? Okay.
In support of Ms. Cottenberg's assessment of what she just said.
Okay.
It's absolutely correct. We can't have businesses operating with large trucks, marked vans, box trucks, relying on their employees to provide their driveways. It is absolutely against every neighborhood code here. You're not the only one. You are absolutely correct. Seen several air conditioning, other businesses in the city. This is something that we are going to address. So I don't think because it is being done at this point that it is something that we should approve. Your parking lot is not large enough for 17 trucks at this point. I saw 10 trucks there. I agree with Ms. Cottenberg. It was a mess this morning. It's difficult to move around.
Yes.
I don't think you have sufficient space there for warehousing, fleet operations. It's a great spot for you to have a retail front on Route 1. We absolutely would love to see you have the best success here in Sebastian. You've been here for 3 years.
30.
30, but you
Yes.
worked for another operation.
I worked for Arnold Ayers for 22
Worked
years.
for Arnold Air, who has been successful here in Sebastian for many, many years. We wish you the best. Regarding that, driving by on Route 1, it's not the appearance that we're looking for in the commercial riverfront district, out in front there. You don't have a lot of room in back to hide any fleet operations. Your warehouse operations are off to the left of the building. From what I could see, you got a door there where you're gonna store
Yeah, there's a garage door.
your
Yeah.
air conditioning. I'd like you to consider possibly off-site use, and there is some in the industrial district. We want to see it succeed, don't get me wrong, but we don't want to change something there in that one location, which is basically in the center. And you do have a competitor across the street who's been there for 25-plus years. It was prior to the city voting in the commercial riverfront district there.
Yeah, he's been there roughly 18 years, yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while. And that being said, I've had my say. I'm
Okay.
done.
okay,
I mean, my answer to your question is, you said that as a company, I didn't pull, I should know about permitting and stuff. I did not pull a permit for the sign, but I think I pulled permits for everything else.
I'm just curious as to why you would jump into such a big venture without coming to City Hall and saying, can I do what I want to do here?
Well, I just didn't, again, not knowing is not your fault, it's my fault. But as a resident in the community for as long as I've been here, never hearing about a riverfront district and knowing that there's an air conditioning company right across the street, what would make me think that there's a, something against it? I mean, again, no.
I want to make a comment to that. You signed a lease for the property
We did,
with a realtor?
yes,
That should have been disclosed at that point.
and it was not.
Enough said.
I understand. I've been told
There's
that by
liability.
a couple different people, that the realtor should have told us what was going on. The landlord maybe should have said what was going on, but they did not.
It's their job.
Yeah. But did they ask you what you were going to do there?
They didn't ask us what we were doing, but they knew what kind of company we were. I mean, we've been in the
okay.
community for 3 years, so
Okay.
we've grown from 2 trucks to 17 trucks in 3 years, so
Okay, well, I guess
we are noticeable.
we can't get into what was said and
No.
by people who are not present.
No, I agree. I mean, I'm just saying that,
I thank you. At this point, we're going to ask for input from the staff, please.
Thank you, Chairman. I think Mr. Rizzo knows in our meetings with him, we have echoed your comments regarding that we are happy to see a business that's been in town for 30 years and grow to where he has this type of business, and we have these kind of problems for him. But we want to be him successful, but also follow our codes and get what's appropriate for our zoning districts. What this is, and to get you back into, pull into what the code is requiring of this hearing, is this is a special exception, not a site plan review, a conceptual. We did ask for a conceptual business operational plan so that we got a gist of what he may propose, but not where we have all the details. But it is a special exception for the use. This is, we're asking to put a use that's usually not permitted or conditioned in this commercial riverfront zoning district. And based on Exhibit A, his business on what he's requiring of office, showroom, warehousing, and accessory to that business is his fleet operations. And Exhibit A spells out from our land development code that this is considered an industrial activity. And hence, this is the request before you he's asking you to allow an industrial activity in the CR zoning district. Now, in Article 2, or excuse me, yes, in Article 3, there are specific findings of facts that per this hearing, you're supposed to establish that does his request meet that. And then there are another 6 criteria that the Planning and Zoning Commission is required to review and verify if you meet this. So staff has kind of, through our staff report, we have given you how we see that if he is meeting this required, these findings of facts and these criteria. And then we have then offered a recommendation of what we feel will still be good for his business, but also good for that site and that area of our riverfront redevelopment area. So with regards to the findings of fact, number one, there's 3 of these, that it has to be, it cannot be detrimental to the public safety, health, and welfare, or be injurious to other properties improvements in the vicinity. With comparison to the 2 other contractor trade businesses across the street, yes, they're grandfathered in, but I don't think either one of them has a fleet of 17 vehicles. And I think that is the city's main concern. By having the warehousing at this site, those vehicles need to come and visit their property. And if the warehousing is removed from that site, the fleet activity wouldn't be there. Office and showroom are allowed uses in that zoning district, and they would still get the visibility, and we work with them on the signs and getting their business tax receipt, getting the site up to code, or partial code, because an office has been there before, and that's allowed there. But it's that the fleet activity coming daily to pick up, I think the AC units are delivered to the job sites, but some of the venting and the other materials that they need for their service calls. And we feel that, as you guys have discussed also, that in the morning and at that time, it could be hazardous to traffic, safety to the Dunkin' Donut customers that are going. That is their peak time too, that same time in the morning. So we feel there may be a little issue with that fleet operations and the safety of that area. The second required finding is that it has to be consistent with the purpose and the intent of the respective district, and be similar in nature to other uses. Yes, we understand there are a couple of businesses in that area that are grandfathered in, but by bringing more in of the contractor trades, we're not getting, it's kind of a preventative of getting us to the vision that you had looked for your corridor. So again, we feel that the office and the showroom is consistent with the other uses in that area, but not that warehousing and that fleet operation. It also has to be this, if you are the special exception, you have to find that the requested use is consistent with the comprehensive plan. And in our staff report, we have listed 2 policies that we feel that it would be inconsistent with the comprehensive plan. There's one policy that states that your industrial activities should be kind of co-located together and not spread out, and so that that any issues that you have to deal with the industrial activities are all in one area. And also that we improve the function of the downtown as the central commercial core with services more of institutional, retail trade, business and professional offices, and civic and cultural enrichment. Again, we have no problem if they would like to keep the office there and showroom. It's that fleet activity and the warehousing. I'm not necessarily going to go over all of the other required findings of facts from Article 6, that the code states that you have to review those. We do have issues with the timing of their trucks coming there being also the same busy time as Dunkin' Donuts. We were requested to look also on how close the townhomes were with the residential in the back there, and pulling their site plan, they're 15 feet from the site. We did look at the proposed operational plan that they submitted. As staff, we saw quite a few hurdles to get an approved site plan with what he had proposed with getting the trucks to the back. Their survey didn't show the easements. I'm not sure that we would want to abandon those easements. We've got to get these properties along US 1 hooked into sewer, and this would be the easement to get them to the sewer lines on Indian River Drive. Not sure. Currently, the site, even though it's been there a long time, it's been also grandfathered in. There's no handicap parking. There's no approved parking plan in front of the building. Sometimes we see it on the side. We do not have a formal site plan in the file of where that parking should be, and we need to get some safe traffic flow through that property. Under our additional comments, we did want to state that we have had a couple other contractors come to us with a couple other properties on US 1 that they wanted to do the same thing, have their fleet maintenance, warehousing. We had a roofer at the old dive shop. They came to us. They did, bring in just their office, and I don't know if they had a showroom, but they did not bring their fleet, and they didn't bring their, they wanted pallets of roofing they probably would have had. We had a fence contractor also come in at the old car store. Again, we walked them through that said, unless you were to get a special exception, and most likely it wasn't something that we saw would be able to meet this criteria, you can use a showroom and have your office there, but you would not be able to put and have your fleet maintenance and have your fence material there. So there have been a couple just within 2019 contractor trades that opted not to go through the special exception. It wasn't anything that we felt is going to fit for this corridor. But if those other contractors had come in too, within a matter of 12 months, you would have had 3 contractor trades coming in requesting special exceptions. Is that what we want for our US 1 corridor? And so on our page 6 and 7, we have come up with what we felt would be good for the area, hopefully good for the business. I understand that it's easier for them to just have one place of business that their trucks and warehousing and all is. But we are recommending that to just allow the office and showroom, and that the warehousing and fleet operations would be from an off-site location, that we get all the permits and approvals, the business tax receipt, and permits for all of the signage. The office and showroom would not be of an intensity to trip a full, brand-new, up-to-code site plan, but we would like to get a parking plan with required striping, traffic safety signage, and handicap parking, so that we do have specified areas of where parking will be on that site, and we'll work with them then also on the side, concrete, and if there is any dumpsters and enclosures that we would need, and we would like a little landscaping along US 1. We hope that that is the recommendation that Planning and Zoning would forward to City Council. If it is different from that, and/or based on what City Council may decide, if there is an approval for the special exception, we have also given recommendations that at this point, we would prefer to have a full civil engineered drawing as one of their conditions with stormwater. There's no stormwater on the site right now, with a parking plan, possibly utilities, full compliance with the riverfront overlay district codes, if they're going to allow this intense, with the fleet operation and this, the complete business and the special exception. We think there may be some hurdles with getting a full site plan, but that would be our recommendation if there was going to be a recommendation from this board and or city council approval of the special exception.
Thank you. At this point, I will ask for input from the public who in attendance, anyone who would like to speak in favor of this action. You can have a seat.
If I can, Chair, just a point of order, if the applicant has any questions for the staff based on her presentation, that would also be appropriate.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Did you have questions for the staff?
Okay, well, no matter what happens tonight, my only question would be, it does go before the city council next month?
Yes.
Okay, I mean, like, me and
It's been
Dory have
scheduled for
already
February
spoke of
12th.
that. Yes, me and Dory have already spoke about all this stuff, so, I mean, I'm okay with a lot of it, so, I mean, I guess we'll just,
Just so you understand, the city council may agree with whatever recommendation we give, but they may disagree with our recommendation as well. So
I
it's kind of
understand.
like climbing a ladder. We're not near the top yet.
the only way to move ahead, right? Thank you.
Thank you. Now, any member from the public who wishes to speak in favor? Any member from the public who wishes to speak in opposition?
Good evening, members. Ben Hawker, Sebastian. I've seen this operation in the commercial area. I've attempted to go to a auto repair shop there around 10 o'clock. There's trucks blocking the roadway, multiple trucks, multiple times. And there were 3 instances with all the trucks that were there. They're using the storage units, or where a automotive repair shop was prior, as a warehouse, and they're getting the delivery trucks bringing in refrigeration units, et cetera, et cetera. We haven't talked about a tractor trailer bringing in air conditioning units. I don't know how they pick them up, where they get them. Again, you've got a situation here, a gentleman rented property without doing his homework. Then, after starting a business there, somehow ended up having to come back to the city. That's not a businessman. That's not a logic way to do it. I want to start a business. I'm going to rent property from you. I know what I can do on that property. Not that, oh, don't worry, we'll take care of it. The landlord or the owner of the property is the one who's at fault here, really, without informing this gentleman of what the lease arrangements could be or would be. And again, back to the sign, that was just changed. We have permits for signs. We actually have a unit in the city that are trying to uniform our signs to make our city look basically a fishing village type city. Well, a air conditioning place on US 1 in the middle of the town, near the park, near a restaurant I'll call Dunkin' Donuts. But there is heavy traffic, people coming there, and then we'll have a variation that we're going to give because of a mistake in purchasing or signing a lease? I don't believe so. Are there any violations on that property to the original owner? And since the business, you're saying it's grandfathered, now that's just a misstatement, I believe. I believe it's non-conforming use, not grandfathered. I don't think the attorney would even say that grandfathered is a true statement in the law. It's non-conforming. I had that problem. And again, automatically, this man comes into property. We've had it with other properties. We just had it with selling the bait station up near the motel. The city had fines and violations there. You also had the little rib house right across from Speedway Gas. There were violations on the sign that wouldn't allow the owner, not the owner, but the leaser of the property to move in until the property owner paid off the liens against it. You've got a thing that says this is our city, it's our commercial area, and this is what the city wanted in place, not variations because of mistakes going into business. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Final comments from the staff?
Thank you, Chairman. Just our staff recommendation on page 6, that we are okay with a business tax receipt for just the office and showroom, that signage comes into compliance, that a minor site plan modification to establish a modified parking plan with required striping, traffic safety, and handicapped, and some basic landscaping along US 1.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to close the hearing now, and we will have deliberation among the committee. We'll start down here with Mr. Simmons this time.
Okay, we'll start on this end. Based on what I've heard, what I've seen, what I've visited there, because I've been around the building a couple times, it's my recommendation that our recommendation be to deny the special request.
Okay. Mr. Roth?
One thing we haven't talked about is that there, in close proximity, is the old railroad station. Correct? Not far away?
I hadn't thought about that.
That is kitty corner from their property. Right behind them is the townhouses, and then kind of kitty corner to their southeast corner would get them very close to that property.
Yeah, and that would be a potential draw for tourism. So I guess it's something else to consider in the overall picture here. I don't like saying no to a business, but planning ahead of time, I think it would have been much better. We could have eliminated some expense for them, perhaps. But I would just not be in favor of having all those trucks there and the warehousing also.
Thank you. Mr. Hewitt?
That's my concern too, is all the trucks and the traffic and the warehouse there. I'm open to having a business there, but not with all the vehicles there and all the traffic it's going to create. And I know those trucks are going to be lined up on US 1, delivery trucks, or even some of your trucks too, waiting to get in that parking lot. So I'm not in favor of all the vehicles being there.
Mr. Cristino?
I'm in agreement with my fellow council members, and I think you will see down the road that we are for the success of your business. I currently have 17 vehicles. I don't see room for 17, let alone 20. We hope that you expand here in Sebastian. My feeling is that a separate commercial industrial property should be procured for the warehousing and the operation of your fleet. We wish you the best of success here in the city, and we hope that you'll understand that we are looking out for the beauty and the vision that was put forth by Sebastian voters 20 years ago when this district was formed. Thank you.
Yes, I'm in a business and I'm in a favor of business. And the city on page 7 has a very tough recommendations. They say no fleet. If they do that thing, plus they do site plan, do all that parking areas, all those things, that's a lot of money they have to spend to come to that thing. So I'm in favor of to have this thing special exception. Yeah.
Yes, sir?
I have no comment. I made my comments earlier.
Okay.
I did want to, and I did forget it, I do have it in the staff report. What's ever decided tonight, or your recommendation and by city council, the property is though in our riverfront, and it is eligible for facade sign and landscape grants, and we did let the gentleman know, whether it is just his office and showroom, he's still gonna be able to have his signage, we'll work with them, and there actually is grant monies available to help him get the landscaping along US 1 and help him with signage. So I did want to just, as a record, let him know that he's eligible for those grant monies also.
Thank you. And I'll be the last commenter. I think that the warehousing is the part that's inappropriate, that goes that one step too far, as I'm concerned. And I feel like perhaps I've led an underprivileged life. I've never in my entire, I won't even say the amount of years, stepped into a heating and cooling showroom. I must have missed something. But I think that's, I would love to see that on the site. I just have a problem with the warehousing and the truck pickup and the deliveries that have to occur, and I want your business to be as successful as possible. I don't feel comfortable setting up a hardship, but I kind of think you might have set up your own hardship by not looking into it ahead of time. So I guess I probably agree with the majority here that I would not be in favor of recommending this, although I could probably go along with the staff recommendation. That wouldn't bother me. That's where I stand. Okay. We will entertain a motion.
Madam Chairman, I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
We accept the special exception to section 54-2-5.4 subsection C of the Sebastian Land Development Code to allow industrial activities, contractor trades within the commercial riverfront CR zoning district with staff recommendations that are listed in the document.
Page 7.
On page 7.
Page 6 and 7.
6 and 7, excuse me.
So clarification, Mr. Carter, you're recommending for approval of the special exception
Yes,
with
yes.
the conditions that we have recommended to city council
Yes.
if they give the final,
Right.
which would be full site plan and then that. Okay.
I second it.
Okay.
So that is the one that does allow the warehousing, the fleet operations from that site with a full site plan.
Would that be number 11?
No, that's number 12.
You said that would allow the fleet operations in the
Correct.
warehouse?
Correct. Mr. Carter's motion is to allow the industrial activities there.
But on the recommendation, you said no fleet there. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm verifying, because your motion was to allow the special exception for industrial activities. And that would be the conditions on number 12 that we had recommended to city council if they approved it. But staff is only recommending just the office and showroom. That's not part of industrial activities.
Well, then I withdraw my motion then.
Okay. Would you care to restate your motion?
You could restate it.
You're my main mover.
And I apologize, this is the staff report that will also be given to city council, and there is a section of the code that says city council can consider it with conditions, and we had just, this was a guidance to council if they will decide to approve it. But number 11 is what staff is recommending, that the office and showroom is allowed and not the warehousing and fleet operations.
Okay.
Number 11 is only for the signage and the windows, so.
Well, it also requires a site plan for parking, because currently, right now, there's no handicap parking or anything, some landscaping, and yes, up to date with all your permits.
But the special exception come in number 12, that's what that.
Correct. If there's full recommendation to totally allow his request, which is to allow showroom, office, warehousing, and the fleet operations. That's his full request, and staff is just saying, we're okay with the showroom and the office.
Okay, we're still looking for a motion here.
Well, I guess I'm still confused. I thought by including staff recommendations and conditions, that negated the parking, or the vehicles on the...
I think it was how you worded, Mr. Carter, so I apologize, because you said you were making a recommendation for the special exception to allow industrial activities in there, and the industrial activities is going to be all four. It's going to be warehousing, fleet operations, showroom, and office. That's the complete industrial activity. The office and showroom is not an industrial activity based on our definitions.
So your recommendation is to allow the showroom and the office, but not the fleet operations and not the warehouse?
Correct. And then to update the site, because we're getting a change of use in there, get the signs, the permits and everything, the signs in compliance with permits. We've got to get a parking plan. There's no handicap, there's no striping, no stop signs, and some landscaping just along front, not full site compliance.
Okay.
Well, just a clarification again. By allowing the showroom and the office, then that falls under, is that still retail or is that still industrial?
It's a professional and business office, which is allowed in the CR zoning district, and showroom would be nothing different than, if I had some shelves with my my wares,
retail.
or, I'm a hairstylist and I've got my product on at your showroom type of thing, and that's allowed in the CR. So that, in essence, is not an approval of the special exception.
So to be clear, Tori, not to interrupt, what's before us is to allow for an exception to the city zoning to allow industrial activities. Is a yes vote or a no vote?
If that's how Mr. Carter's motion is.
Zoning commission.
Yes, if that's the.
The current activity as far as the office and the showroom are acceptable
Yes, he
under
would not have had to come
zoning
before you for.
requirements.
I'm sorry.
He's asking for an exception for the industrial use, the warehousing, fleet operations.
Yes, if he had come to the city with a business tax receipt for the office and showroom, got his signed permits, he would not be before the board. But the complete package of what he's asking is considered contractor trades, industrial activity, and he needs a special exception to do all of that activity on that site.
Thank you.
Okay.
Very simply, isn't it, if we want to move forward but exclude the warehouse operations and the fleet operations, wouldn't that be your staff recommendation 11?
Well, we didn't want to say outright that we wanted to deny the special exception. Well, I guess if the special exception is the warehousing and the fleet operation, that is our recommendation. Yeah. And I'm sorry if that's confusing, but we wanted to at least allow him and let him know that the office and showroom is still allowed.
I think your recommendation are pretty tough, okay? So those are good.
I apologize for that.
Yeah. Those are pretty tough.
We will definitely
Yeah.
tweak that for our city council.
Yeah.
That goes before that.
Okay, could we try again for a motion?
Well, again, I'm confused now. If we accept the recommendation, then we're excluding the fleet and the warehousing, right?
Correct. If you deny, I guess a motion could be that you deny the special exception, but would like to add the condition that of the getting a parking plan, some landscaping, and compliance with permitting.
Well, your
I'm still not
recommendation said no fleet, already there, it's written there.
No,
That number, no fleet operation, that's what it is.
it says no with warehousing and fleet operations to be from an off-site location, which is basically denial of that special exception there. And I am going to maybe see if the attorney has some guidance on how your motion could read.
Just point of clarity, and I understand the confusion for the board. Right now, you have the simple is whether or not you're going to accept or deny the special exception. If you deny the special exception, which will be following, if I'm following this thing correctly, you can deny it, and you can also then add the section 11, which is deny the special exception, but with the conditions of staff, which is on paragraph 11. If, for member Carter, if his comment is to allow for the special exception, then you're looking at 12. You can allow the special exception. Mind you, this is just a recommendation. You can recommend permitting it, which now will allow everything with those dots, which will be the city's staff's conditional that you want to add to staff's recommendation if you go 12. In other words, if you want to accept a special exception, look at 12 if you want to consider what staff is recommending. If I've heard someone from the board, if you just want to deny it, you can deny it, and then you can also allow for the special recommendation for the council to go forward as well as a condition of that denial, and that also goes before the board. And ultimately, like I think we've all been saying, it is just a recommendation. City council can accept, deny, or change it.
With that given, I'd like to forward a motion to deny the special exception, but accept the staff recommendations in paragraph 11.
I'll second that.
Okay. A roll call vote, please.
Just point of order, any discussions first, ma'am, and you can call the vote. Is there any discussions?
Is there any further discussion? Okay, roll call vote.
Yes. Mr. Eugen,
Yes.
Mr. Kizzelbosh,
No.
Ms. Cottenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Roth,
No.
Mr. Simmons,
Yes.
Mr. Cristino,
Yes.
Mr. Carter.
No.
We have a tie.
We have 4 yes. 3. And 4 no.
Wait a minute, can't be.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
It's 3.
You can't have.
Well, there are 8 people.
Well, Mr. Alvarez isn't here,
7.
Janet.
I'm sorry, you're
Yeah,
right.
it should be 4, it should be 4-3, my calculations.
Yeah,
Okay, it is 4-3.
4-3.
I have redone this. Yes,
Okay.
it is 4-3 in favor.
Okay, that, and just so I can repeat that, we have voted 4-3 in favor of denying the special exception, but adding that the staff recommendations under paragraph 11 would be welcome.
I'm sorry, ma'am, I was talking to the city manager. Can you repeat your question?
I just wanted to state that we have voted to deny
Recommend.
Special section,
the special exception,
right?
but include the staff recommendations, which we would welcome,
In paragraph 11.
in paragraph 11, correct.
And the motion is a recommendation to city council.
Recommendation to deny. Thank you.
Okay, just for the record, just for Ms. Graham, can we just clarify for the record the 4-3 vote? Make sure, I want to just be clear for the record, that was 4-3. Just for the record, I want to clarify the vote was actually 4-3 to pass the motion.
Mr. Eugen was yes. Mr. Kizzelbosh was no. Ms. Cottenberg was yes. Mr. Roth was no. Mr. Simmons was yes. Mr. Cristino was yes. And Mr. Carter was no. So we have 4 yes and 3 no.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Unfinished business? We have none.
No?
Public input? Any other? No? New business? Commissioners' matters.
I do.
Okey-doke.
Point of clarification, we're working on the comprehensive plan. And I just want to make sure that I understand, if, Dory, you could give some kind of an idea what we're looking at in the livability section and in the future land use section. In other words, I've looked through it and I understand them, but I don't know what I'm looking at to where we should go to the future. What should we be looking at correcting? Land use right now, we don't know, we don't have any data just yet, but we have a general feel. But what should we be looking for in those two areas when we're reviewing it?
So for our upcoming workshop in February, Lisa had requested that you look through the future land use element and the housing element. That'll be for our livability workshop. Our consultant is updating the data and inventory, but what you're looking through is the comp plan is set up that there's a goal. There's a goal that the city has come up with for housing or for our future land use, and then under those goals, those are policies that you try to achieve in the next 20 years. That's the vision, the comp plan vision. So review those goals and see if there's some that you like, things that want you think to change, and then review the policies. And that's what we'll be doing. Now, some of the policies and goals will be set up based on our new data and inventory, but definitely what do you want some of our goals to be for housing and our livability and future land use. Is the city okay with our tiny homes? Do we want to adjust some of our density? That's something to look at in your future land use element. Do we want to create a different density? Right now we're at 8 units per acre. And then from that, some of the policies may be that we would like to create alternative housing that has a little higher density that makes the project feasibility or something more affordable. But those are the things. So you're going to look at those goals and then look at those policies and which ones do we want to tweak, which ones do we want to throw out, and what new ones do we want to bring in for our vision for the city for the next 20 years.
Thank you, Dory. I discussed with Lisa at length this subject. I know we're coming into the comprehensive plan, and personally I can't wait to have an influence on what's going to happen. And I believe Lisa's question for the city that we need to put forth is, what constitutes a small town feel? I think we need to put this forth to the residents. What are we looking for? We've got some frustration with some people now can't seem to handle that. We have snowbirds here that contribute greatly to our economy in the winter. We've seen the failures of Palm Bay and Port St. Lucie. We don't need to go there. So we do need to have the workshops along with the herbicide workshops as to where Sebastian is going to be in 20 years. And we appreciate all the hard work that you guys do there to make sure that we're still that glowing place that people come from up north. Come down here to appreciate every year.
That's going to be one of the goals then in your future land use or your housing to, maybe it's not stated, keep the town small town, but a goal would be to prevent urban sprawl or something like that, and from that you could with your policies. But that'll be, yes, that's going to be the exercise at our workshop and the upcoming months with the different elements.
Okay. City attorney's matters?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. Any other staff matters?
I would like to introduce our new senior planner, Mr. Robert Loring, and he comes with us with almost 20 years of zoning experience. He's a certified architect, so man, that was the top of the list when we're looking at to define our old fishing village. It's great to have an architect also on board, and he'll be helping us with site plans, hoping to get those procedures and our processes streamlined. He's bringing the good things that worked for Palm Bay. He worked for Palm Bay for a long time. We'll be coming up with some new applications and procedures, and we're happy to have him on board. He's been here for 2 weeks, and he's already one of us.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for coming here. And now our meeting is adjourned.
City attorney? Who's our city attorney?